State police say that a man hit by a car while crossing the road in Ascension Parish recently died from his injuries, but the man's family believes troopers aren't taking the case seriously.
In fact, they've actually hired an attorney who today demanded answers from investigators. Perry Robinson has been looking into this case. Perry, good evening to you. You were actually able to, I think, to talk to a witness of this actual crash.
That's right, Greg and Liz. The man I spoke with told me a simple trip to the dollar store has turned into days of heartbreak and confusion as they try to get answers about what happened. Tommy Neighbors spent years as a paramedic, but nothing could prepare him for what was coming.
Man, it sounded like two vehicles collided.
Neighbors says he and Darryl West were walking back home from a store in Dutchtown a couple of weeks ago. He says West stood in his driveway, said his goodbyes, checked both sides of the road, and started walking across LA 74. But in a matter of seconds, his friend of 40 years was gone.
I wouldn't have invited nobody to experience nothing like that.
Family members say doctors had to amputate his leg, but he died from his injuries a few days later. Their attorney, Ron Haley, claims nothing about his crash was handled the right way.
It seems like they treated Mr. West's accident like it was a regular fender bender, but it was anything but.
Haley says the driver was a teenager, and investigators never tested to see if the driver was impaired, and claims evidence was removed from the scene. State police is handling the investigation. While they did not go on camera, a spokesperson told us troopers at the scene did not believe the driver was impaired. They also noted that West was wearing dark clothing at the time of the crash. When asked about Haley's claims that evidence was removed, we were told the investigation into the crash is still open.
We're not saying that something definitively criminal happened that day, but we're saying that this was not, they treated him, again, as he was dispensable. And they did not treat this investigation on the onset with the same vigor as they do in other cases.
Haley and the family say they are still left with a lot of questions.
There's nothing wrong with the family demanding that this is done right. And if at the end of the day, if this is done right and it shows that this driver, was not at fault, then I think the family can accept that if it is done right. But at this point, it's impossible to do it right because of what was done that day at the crime scene.
Again, LSP says the crash is still under investigation. Once we get more information, we will pass it along. Guys, back to you.
All right, Perry, thank you for that. Here's an update we're happy to share with you.